Hey there, welcome to Hermit Haven. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Jackie. We're so excited to invite you into our safe space. Hermit Haven is like a cozy little hideout where we get to celebrate being confident in ourselves as we find happiness in quiet moments.
So grab your favorite blanket and your favorite drink, and let's dive into today's episode.
Hi, I'm Jackie. Welcome back to Hermit Haven.
Hi, I'm Ashley. We're excited to have you. This week we're talking about making room for the next version of you and what that means and why you should make room for that version.
Yeah, I'm excited. I feel like one of the hardest things for me is letting go of routines or ways or thoughts about who I thought I would be, if I have a new dream or a new goal, I'm like, oh my gosh, but can I really do that? I've thought that this is what I was going to do. And now I'm switching to this. And it's just really, I feel like a battle in my head of letting go of the past to make room for new stuff. And so, this is something that I struggle with myself.
Yeah, I think too. I think so many times we want to stick with what worked whatever season ago because it worked in that season. And so we think
Yeah.
it'll work in every season. And then we realize that we need to make room for this season and start figuring out how to make it work for this season.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like every time that I mean, I feel like it's every quarter almost that you have new things that you want to do or new maybe a new dream that you have or your kids get older and just the way that you were doing things doesn't always fit the way that you need to be doing them now. And especially if you're chasing after a new goal that you have for yourself or your life or something that you're working towards, it's probably going to mean putting some new habits in there and just changing things up a little bit. And sometimes we have to just let go of what we were doing to be able to fit what we need to be doing right now in our life, in our day,
Hmm. Or
etc.
another thing I always think about too is we need to accept that maybe we have to do stuff a different way now from the way
Yeah.
we were doing it, and the new way might be longer route, but it still gets you that same result. I always think about this. So my bubby, she's was the cutest little woman, but she basically lived on her own till she was 90. I don't even know anymore. 90 something, but anywho, she always, made food. She made real meals for herself. And she would always tell me well, I used to do it one way, but now I have to do it this way. And I found this is the way that it works because, I can't lift or I can't do it the same I used to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I sometimes it's I'm getting so overwhelmed or so frustrated. This is actually something that I've been really thinking about for when school starts back up because I think I've talked about this on the podcast before, but definitely with Ashley. I do a lot of back and forth driving, obviously, for the boys. I drop off Gavin at 8 o'clock and then I come back and then drop off Pierce at 9 o'clock and then I come back. I have essentially 3 hours before I have to go pick up Pierce and come back and then go pick up Gavin. Anyway, so that short time span, I'm so grateful that I have that time to myself, but I feel I don't use it wisely enough and I'm always so stressed almost. That's time to myself that I should not be stressed and I'm always so stressed. And so I've really been thinking before school starts that I need to make sure that I'm doing things differently than I was doing them because I just was feeling just so overwhelmed. And I was like, I shouldn't be feeling this overwhelmed. It's not that big of a deal. And then summer came, you think I'd be more overwhelmed now because I have don't have that time to myself. And so I think it's just me and the way that I was doing things. And I just have to switch them up, especially because we really want to grow the podcast more. That's a huge goal of, grow my social media more. We just have goals. And in order to make those goals happen, you have to do things differently than you've done. Otherwise, you're going to get the same results that you've been getting. Right. And so that's another part of the whole.
I think so. I think too, I think so many times we think that we have to stick with
Yeah.
the steps we're taking to get to where we are, or we get I know we talked about this in a different episode, but we get this mindset where oh, we don't have enough time, or we or we don't have the support in our head, even though everyone around us is supporting us. It's just us thinking that no one's going to support us in this decision. And so I think we sometimes self-doubt what could be. And I think that's when you start like I think when you're starting to self-doubt stuff is when you're supposed to be even pushing harder for like this like area you're walking into, right? Like so many times when you're like in that self-doubt, you're like, oh, well, I can't go forward. So then you stay and you're not making room for that like new routine, what you're self-doubting, like whatever it is.
Yeah, I'm rereading the Ed Milet book. What is it called? One more. Oh, I should have grabbed it before we came in here. I didn't think to grab it. I think it's One More something. It's by Ed Milet. I don't know. It's such a good book. I've been reading 10 pages every morning, but one of them, like I think it was like a couple days ago, the 10 pages that I was reading was talking about, and I I swear I highlighted like most of the chapter. Some chapters I like barely highlight. Anyway, point of this is he was talking about how when you make change, it's going to be sometimes hard and sometimes like really uncomfortable, and it's supposed to be that way. And some people might not support you, but a lot of people will support you. But like the thing is, you have to know what you need. And I know we kind of talked about this last episode too, but like you have to know what you need. And it's going to be a little challenging sometimes, like letting go of this routine that you are like comfortably but uncomfortably doing to start a new routine that's going to ultimately make you happier. And that could just be like the way that you and your children go about your day. Like maybe the way that you're doing it now is just not working and you need to rework, even if it's the same things that you're doing, but like rework kind of the order or whatever, or drop something out or add something in.
Mhm.
But anyway, I love that book so much. Highly recommend.
I think so many times we don't think we are worthy either of something new, like a new routine, or we're not worthy of like creating that time for whatever we're working on in this new season of life. And I think that's another big like setback. And I think no matter like what season, what era of your life you are, where you are in womanhood, like you should always accept and feel that it's okay that the stage you're whatever you're walking into, right? It could be the season you're in could be a year-long season and then the next season is popping up and it's only 2 months long, right? Whatever it how long, however short the season is, like you should be able to like always accept that like I could have a new routine. I can do things differently. Like, I really want to go to the gym this season. Okay, well, maybe, instead of mindlessly scrolling in the morning with your coffee, maybe going for a walk, and then coming home and having the coffee.
Yeah,
Like,
something that oh, go ahead.
oh, you're good. Go ahead.
I was thinking about is like I always thought I was a little bit crazy because I feel like sometimes I just need like a little bit of a change. And we were talking about this before, how I like to like change furniture around and stuff. But I always thought that I just needed something like different, but I always thought it was like me like not being able to commit. And now that we're talking about this, I think that sometimes I just need a little bit of a change so that I can like push forward. That makes sense. So even
Yeah.
in like my planners, like I just started a new planner and I honestly really love it because I am the person that needs a change. And so I can make the pages like some weeks I don't have as much going on. And so I can just kind of like do a simple like Monday through Sunday, write down my to-do situation. But sometimes I need like way more focus where I have a lot more going on. And maybe I need like a page for my day. Like I need to write down like every single little to-do task because my brain is like so overwhelmed that it's just like not working. And I know this is like such a weird example, but it's just like I can fluctuate and like change for what I need. And I just always until like this moment thought I was just like flaky or crazy, but I just think it just depends on the day or the week or like what's going on in my life and like how much I need. I don't know. Is this making sense?
No, it makes sense. I feel like we talked about that. I feel like we were just talking about this on like a voice message or whatever. Like how we're just like we love to like plan and we like to set up things and like I feel like I'm always like I need to redo my Notion because the system that worked a year ago isn't working now. Like I don't have the same job, I don't have the same things, like, So I get
Yeah.
it, like that need to like have that plan and like it change sometimes what you need. I feel like too, you realize like what was like working isn't working or what you thought would work is like way too of like big of an idea and like it's just too much extra stuff and you're like it's not worth it. just not worth it. I think sometimes too, like, that's okay, like to realize, like, hey, I don't need to continue doing whatever XYZ. I need to try something different. I think too, though, is when you're walking, I feel like Matt always reminds me of this, but like, you don't need to spend 2 hours redoing your Notion. Like, just kind of like like try to figure out what you need to do and then like take those quick steps and move forward.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always the hard part is like we try to like I think we do that on purpose, like stay in that planning stage to just like not have to move. Not have to because that moving part is that's the hardest part, like actually doing the actions that you need to do
Hmm.
to get to where you need to go. And like that counts for a new job or like if you decide like, oh, I want to start a I don't know, like an online shop for my stationery. I love stationery or something like just something that you're starting, or maybe you're becoming a new mom. Like there's just like you have to step into it. And sometimes that part is really hard. And if you're doing the same things that you were doing before and trying to step into something new, I promise you it is so hard. That is what happened to me when I had Gavin and I was doing It Works and I was doing amazing and like everything was going great. And then I have a child and I'd never had a child. So I did not know that I could not have the same routine with a tiny baby. Like it just does not work. And it was so frustrating for so long because I tried to make it work and it wasn't working. And I had to just like let go. I had like let it go.
Hmm.
And so I mean, that can be for anything, in your life, but
I
for
think
the
so many times too in that situation, because I feel like me and Jackie have been talking about like me kind of like figuring out my schedule routine recently, but like you feel like you're sacrificing who you are for like this other person and this routine, but in reality, you're not sacrificing anything. That's just your mindset because you're living in this like past like self in this past era, and you're not realizing that you just have to change your like mindset and your routine. So instead of like maybe you were super productive all day around long, and now you're like, well, all my baby wants to do is like be held, right? How can you, right? And you're like, so fighting this baby wanting to be held and like having to clean your house. Like, well, maybe instead, when your baby goes down for that hour nap, or when you're able to like put your baby down for like 30 minutes on the play mat, right? That's when you do the dishes, right? And I think too, we don't, you need to get rid of that negativity. Like, well, if I step in this new era, then and sometimes you even realize you're in this new era, right? How many times do you not realize that like something is new, right? Like so many times we step into something and we're like, this is what like all of a sudden it hits you and you're like, what's happening? Like, I don't
Right.
understand. Like, huh? So I think sometimes too, some things are never gonna stop working. Like it's common sense. Like for you, if it's normal for you to wake up and brush your teeth, that's always gonna work. So for you to say one day, oh well, I'm stepping in this new era, I'm gonna brush my teeth in the middle of the day, like that doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
Like there's just certain things that are always gonna work for you. And I think that's something too, is when you realize that you're in this new era, it's taking the things that are always going to work. Like, this is like the bread and butter of who you are. It does not matter if like the world was like on fire, like you would still commit to these habits, right? Take those habits into this new era. But realize that the way you did certain things that you need to do, maybe it's your hobbies, maybe it's your responsibilities, have to change because the things around you have changed. And I think so many times too, we think, well, I have kids, right? Especially as a mom, right? Or I have responsibilities. I can't get anything done because that thing needs me now, right? No, it's finding the balance. So it's saying, okay, maybe that thing needs me now, whatever it is. It could be a job, it could be a business, whatever it is. But also saying, maybe I'll take 10 minutes before I go to work to just like clean up the place, or I'll take 10 minutes, while my child's playing peacefully to go wash the bottles, right? It's finding a balance. It doesn't have to be this luxury of like 4 hours that you used to have, maybe to.
Yeah. That was
Sometimes,
the hardest. Sorry.
what? No,
That
go
was
ahead.
that's the hardest for me as a mom is like I talk to Ashley about this all the time, like anticipating knowing that my child's going to need me. It's like I have to just sometimes let that go and be like, they will eventually need me, but I can spend what I think is hopefully 10 minutes, walking on my walking pad or whatever. And if they need me, cool. And they're at a point now where they're a little bit older where I can just be like, okay, just give me a few minutes, but obviously when you have a newborn, like you can't do that. Like you got to go. But I think that was the hardest for me, like as a shift being a mom is being like, how do I fit this stuff in when people need me? And they do need you, but in reality, I think we spend a lot more time like being stressed or overwhelmed by it. And maybe I know that for me, like when I get stressed and overwhelmed, I used to just like pick up my phone and I would sit there on like whatever social media scrolling for how long, like go look at your screen time. And I realized like I can't be doing that. Like if they don't need me, I need to stick to my plan, and I have to have a written plan, otherwise I will not get anything done. And a lot of the times I have to like what do they call it, time blocking. I kind of just like split my day up into like a few blocks and be like, this is what I want to get done at the beginning of the day, this is what I want, priority things, and then just kind of work towards that. But yeah, it's been like the biggest struggle for me is being like, I can't do it because I'm a mom and I have children, and I
Mhm.
have just had to let it go.
I think too, besides just letting go, I think stop getting frustrated at yourself. Give yourself grace if what the plan you made today isn't working and the plan you made tomorrow isn't working that day. I think that's something too is we need to give ourselves grace when we're walking into a new season. We have to give ourselves grace that right? We have maybe you need extra time, right? So instead of sitting in bed scrolling or sitting in bed, just dean, maybe leaving the house 5 minutes early to your new job because this is, what you
Yeah.
need. I think so many times we don't give ourselves grace. We get frustrated because we want the schedule in our head to work, but we've never done whatever we're trying to do in this new season. So how do you know that schedule is going to work out, right? Like how do you know it's going to really only take 15 minutes to get to work that day, right? In reality, you don't know that the bus, right? My mom, I just think about my mom about this situation. My mom was leaving every day at work at 2:30 or whatever it was, right? And every day she'd get stuck behind the same bus every single day. I promise you, every single day she gets stuck behind this bus. And my mom's not the type of driver where she drives like and switches lanes, like wherever lane she needs to be in, that's the lane she's going to be in. So my mom decided to switch her entire schedule of what time she goes into work and what time she leaves work so she wouldn't be stuck behind this bus. And she was so frustrated about this, like for weeks on end. But then she realized, okay, if I just sacrifice a few minutes in the morning to leave a little earlier, I don't have to be stuck behind this bus. And I know this sounds like the most dramaticest thing. It's just a bus. But like
No.
it's like, but it took my mom like 10, 15 minutes to get home extra. And so like I love my mom to death. And I just think about this all the time. Like, she changed her schedule. My mom, I love my mom. Like she's probably listening to this episode just laughing.
We
But
love
like
you.
she
This would be a
is
me thing.
the
I would totally do this.
queen of schedules. I like my mom's the type of person where she preps to walk into a new season. So like let's say I remember as a kid when she had to take me to the doctors and she usually didn't take me to like the first time she had to take me to a new doctor or something, she would make my dad take her the day before so she could time how long the route is, like,
Love
and see the
that.
things, right? Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, she's prepping for that new season. Like, that's
Yeah.
how my mom is. Like, like for example, Passover, it's a huge holiday, right? She has the same shopping list she's been using for years. She's literally prepped for this holiday for years. Like that's how my mother is. I think, we don't realize that some women are like that. Like they're always prepping for the next season. They're always
Yeah.
prepping for what's coming. And I think so many of us are just on the go, 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 that we
Yeah.
don't realize that we need that prep. We need that time. We need that grace. You can't
Yeah.
just like walk into a season and run sometimes. And sometimes you can because it's familiar with what you've already done. So like maybe for example, Jackie is on summer break, right? That's a new season for her, but it's similar to her last season because it's the same thing. She's just hanging out with her kids, having a good time, making giggles and laugh. Just instead of taking them to school, she's taking them places to have fun, right? So even
Yeah.
though it's a similar season, it's easy for her to walk into it. It's just she has to kind of maybe adjust a little bit like what she's doing with her day in the sense because there's just a little extra time.
Yeah. That bus story. I have little ahas like that where I'm just like, oh, all I had to do was XYZ and my life is like infinitely not infinitely, but like things like that happen. Like when I was trying to get more steps in, when I was trying to get like to my 10,000 steps, I'd be like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get my steps in? I can't go outside for my walk because it's raining, or like Gavin doesn't want to come on like a 2 mile walk because I don't have a stroller for him. And then I'd be like, oh, while I'm prepping like whatever, breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever, I can just be like walking in place while it's cooking, or, like while the toaster oven. I don't know, just like a little tiny, and I'm like, why didn't I think of that? It's just like the stupidest little things that aren't stupid because they're just like, they're amazing. Like while I'm brushing my teeth, a lot of the times I'm like walking in place. I know that sounds so dumb, but like it's just extra steps that I could be getting. What else am I going to do? Just stand there? Like, but just little things like that happen to me all the time about that kind of stuff. And I'm just like, oh, why didn't I think of that before?
I get
Anyway,
that. I feel like
little
that's
hack.
like I feel like too, like I do that like sometimes I'll like watch people's like vlogs or like whatever. I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that. Or like I'll see someone like wear or style a certain way their shirt and I'm like, oh, I never thought about that. Like
Yeah.
I love it. But I think what's important in this episode, like if we really had to break down what this episode's about, it's really about knowing when it's time to step into like a new routine, being okay to step in that routine, feeling grace stepping in that routine, and feeling like you're not a failure if it doesn't work the first time around, and
Yeah.
really just applying yourself for doing what you're doing and doing the things, and also realizing that it's going to be trial and error. It's not going to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. If it is perfect, it's probably time to like switch up a little bit, add a little bit in there. Like I feel like that's sometimes too is like when things are going really good, I think that's time to add a new hobby, a new goal, something you're really thinking about, you know? Like, I think that's part of this too is like when you're starting a new routine, it could be something, right? It could be, okay, you're overwhelmed, you're overstimulated, like whatever it is, or something's not working, or you feel like you're just not getting where you need to be. Yeah, that's a great time to start a new routine. But also when you feel that everything's going right, everything's going great, right? Maybe that's a time to add that sport you really want to play or go join that club you really want to join or start the vlog you really want to start, right? Because you have that time, you mastered everything else around you.
Yeah. And heavy on the like, it might not be perfect right away, or it might not feel like, oh, I'm going to make this change. I'm going to make this new schedule. It's going to be amazing. Our day's going to go perfectly. Like it might take a little bit of doing it to feel like it is working for you. And like obviously if you've been doing it for a while and it's still not working, like please change it and like, find a different way. But sometimes we are quick to be like, oh, it didn't work, just going to move on to something else like immediately. And when you make changes, like things aren't going to feel right maybe sometimes like they're gonna feel more challenging. That's the point.
I feel like too, it's gonna be sometimes you just have to like write sticky notes all over the house to remind yourself if it's just like something like drink water before you drink your coffee, like or like put a note on the coffee pot, like, hey, did you drink water today? Like sometimes it's gonna take trial and error. It's gonna take that time. Right now he's 3 months old. He's so cute. But we're working on napping in the crib. Like he's been contact napping on us from the day he was born. Like dad has been home for the last 2 months. He went back to work in June. So literally the entire time dad has been home, he's been contact napping on dad more than mom. Now mom's home, it's me. But like whoever it is, like he's just contact napping. And we're not getting real naps in the crib yet. So we're just kind of working on that. And there's no set schedule yet. Like we're not like 2 o'clock, go take a nap kind of thing. Like we're just trying to figure it out. And let me tell you, it has been so hard on me, like so hard. I literally the other day, I just like sat in the chair rocking him crying because I was just so overstimulated from trying to figure out making this work for him, making it work for me. And like, I was just like, exhausted. But I know that these are sacrifices. Like, even though like I don't know, like I'm not getting everything I need done. I'm not feeling successful every single day. I know that this is success for him and is success for me in the long run. So in this season, even though I want to accomplish 15 million tasks in my house and I have 15 million video ideas I want to do and I have all these like content ideas I want to do and I want to hustle, I know that this is not the season to do all that. And I think that's
Yeah.
the hard part to accept too, right? Like right? As much as I would love to reorganize my pantry, is this really the season to reorganize my pantry right now? No. This is definitely not the season to reorganize my pantry right now. Maybe when Ari is good with naps, right? And I know he's taking our nap every single day at 2 o'clock. Maybe that's the season I'm going to need to reorganize my pantry. And I think too, that's something super important is to realize that this might not be the season for whatever you're trying to accomplish, but there
Yeah.
is going to be a season where you can accomplish it.
I think also like if you feel like you don't have time for things, write down what you're doing all like the entire day. Glenn used to tell me to do this because I'd be like, I don't have time. And he'd be like, well, what are you doing with your time? I'd be like, I don't know. I do things. And so he'd be like, just wake up and just all day long, do a note in your phone or whatever, and just write down, like, what are you doing all day? How
Mhm.
much time are you spending on stuff? And then you'll see where your time is going. And maybe there's places where you can be like, oh, I don't need to spend time on that. I want to spend time on this instead. And so that might be a tool also for people that might just be like, but I just don't have time. Because I feel like
Yeah.
it's just so easy to say that. And sometimes we don't have time. Like sometimes legitimately you're in a season where you are too busy to maybe add something in. But I think a lot of the time, we just don't really realize how much time we're spending on things that we might not need to spend time on, you know? So
I agree. There was a book I read about that actually. It came like it was like a little book I read that talked about that, like how, you talk about all the time you want to listen to this new podcast, right? But maybe you can't find the time, but maybe you really do have the time in the car, or really you have the time in the shower. Like, I think sometimes we don't realize we can merge tasks either.
yeah,
Like I think Jack was talking about earlier about breakfast or whatever. But I usually, what I do whenever I'm cooking, I like to put the dishes away or like start the dishes. Like I use that time or like clean up the kitchen. Like I like to I'm like, okay, I have 20 minutes to do it. Like, can I beat the timer kind of vibe,
I
right?
like
Like I'm
doing
merging
that.
tasks. Like
I do that in the
instead of
morning.
what?
I do that in the morning. I'll put like toast in there for Pierce or like waffle or whatever. And
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, I'm gonna empty the dish or the dishwasher really quick, like while it's going off. And usually the entire 3 minutes or whatever, I'm able to empty the whole dishwasher.
Exactly.
So
So I think it's just figuring out when to merge, when not to merge. I think, so many times, I think too, like figuring out what to do with your time. I think too, accepting what season you're in and what that season like needs, right? Like I think I go back to Ari, but that's just the season I'm in right now. But right, like I would say like before we got into this like almost 3 month period, like we were just living on the edge of whatever today is, it is, right? There was no schedule, and that was okay that season, right? But we're entering this season where Matt's back at work. Well, he'll be back home soon again for another month. But like Matt went back to work for a little bit. I have work coming up soon. Like I've been babysitting, like just right that season shift. And I realized that season shift. And I realized that I have to take control. So everyone's like, oh, you have to get a schedule for Ari. And I was like, not yet. And I felt good about that, right? I felt good about, I would say the first 2 weeks of the month, we didn't really have a schedule because I knew that he wasn't ready for that,
yeah,
but I slowly adjusted the day, right? So sometimes that could be right. Like sometimes it's this week we're doing this week we're doing that, and that's okay too.
yeah, absolutely. You can shift it. I mean, I can feel with the kids, like sometimes we just need like a shift in our routine. It may be the same exact things, just done like in a different order. And you just sometimes need that. Just like it feels different, it feels new, it feels more exciting when you like
Mhm.
shift things around a little bit. Or for some people, that might be way too much and they just might have to do the same thing all the time. That's totally fine too. But you'll know what you need and you'll be able to like work your habits in there and see where you can spend time and maybe things that you're doing now you might need to reprioritize. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree. I think at the end of the day, we love you all, and that's all that matters is that we're all working together, trying to just like grow this community, work together, like share our habits, share our goals, share like what's working, what's not working. So please
yeah,
share with us, you know,
yeah,
what season of life you're in. If you're a mom, if you're a mom of a dog, like if you're, a corporate worker, if you're a content creator, whatever you're doing in your season of life. I think too, I was thinking about this. This can be a whole other episode, but I think sometimes we have to identify with what we are. You might not know where you are. You might just be a woman, just going through the emotions of life, and that's fine too. Love the season you're in and love whatever season might be coming, and don't rush it. Like accept the season and love it and create and I think whatever season you're in, if you're preparing for the next season and you know that next season's coming, then start now creating those habits and those routines, right? I think, that was something with Ari. I really tried hard before Ari came to create habits and routines. So that way, even though when he was born and like for the first 2 months, we just kind of like sat and did nothing, I was craving that routine again. I was craving it, right? I needed that. And so I fall back on that. And I think sometimes we realize that even though we, might step away from something, we can always come back to it because it's there. So love what season you're in, love who you are, and love the season you're walking into. Or if you're in a new season, congratulations, enjoy it.
yay. We love you guys. And just remember, like everything that we talk about, like, all these episodes, like these are things that we're currently working on too. We're just coming and chatting about what we're doing and what's working. But like Ashley said, if there's something that's working for you, like please always let us know because we care and it helps us personally. So We love you guys. We're
I mean,
excited to build this community even more over the next year. And we'll see you next week.
yeah. See you next week for the next cozy episode. Mwah, mwah. Have a beautiful day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for spending time with us today and being part of our Hermit Haven community.
We hope you enjoyed our cozy chat and are inspired to embrace your inner hermit.
Remember, even in the quiet moments, you're never alone on this journey because we are truly all in this together.
So until next time, stay cozy, stay true to yourself, and keep spreading love wherever you go.
Bye for now.
We'll see you next time.